In today's class, we will discuss on mechanism of enzyme action and also the measurement of enzyme action. The question how the enzymes work can be dealt in two different perspectives. One, how the energy level of the system changes during enzyme catalysis and what actually happens at the active site of the enzyme during catalysis. Let us start with the thermodynamic basis of enzyme catalysis. Here we will discuss about the free energy changes in the enzyme substrate system during enzyme catalysis. Now, we all know that for a thermodynamically favorable reaction, the free energy change or delta G value is always with a negative sign. That means the free energy of the product must be lower than that of the substrate in a thermodynamically favorable reaction. And in biological system, all the reactions are definitely thermodynamically favorable. Then the question comes, why enzymes are at all required if all the reactions are thermodynamically favorable? So there is a difference between a thermodynamically favorable reaction and a spontaneous reaction. Like there are example of acid-base reaction. The acid-base reactions are always spontaneous in aqueous solution, and the reactions are definitely thermodynamically favorable. But the reactions in the biological systems are mostly thermodynamically favorable, but they are not spontaneous. Let us consider the reaction glucose plus ATP. It leads to glucose 6-phosphate and ADP. This reaction, though, is a thermodynamically favorable one, it is not a spontaneous reaction. That means a simple mixture of glucose and ATP will not form glucose 6-phosphate and ADP per se. Now, why is it like this? In biological system, first the substrates react to get converted in a higher energy unstable transient state, which is structurally intermediate between substrate and product, and then it decomposes instantaneously to form the reaction product. Since the transient state is a higher energy state than the substrate, the conversion from substrate to transient state is not thermodynamically favorable, and it needs some energy input into the system, and which is termed as the free energy of activation or delta Gx. Now, how to overcome these energy barriers? Enzymes help to attain the transition state by providing energy. In this graph, the x-axis shows the progression of the reaction and y-axis shows the free energy change or delta G. Okay. Now, the blue line is that for the uncatalyzed reaction and the purple line is for a catalyzed reaction. Here it is well appreciated that the free energy change for a uncatalyzed reaction, which leads to reactants to product, is much higher than that of a uncatalyzed reaction. Here the energy provided by the enzymes lower the requirement of the activation energy from the system, and transition state can be achieved more quickly. Here one important thing you need to consider that in this reaction substrate to transition state conversion and conversion of transition state to product, all these reactions are reversible. That means in a steady state of reaction at a particular point of time, there will always be a mixture of substrate and product in the system. The lifespan of transition state is extremely short, and it will instantaneously decompose into either product or it may get converted into the substrate itself, because all the reactions are reversible. Since enzymes decrease the activation energy of conversion of substrate to transition state, the overall chance of formation of transition state is increased. In other words, we can say that the probable concentration of transition state is increased, and as a result, the chance of conversion of transition state to product also increased, because that is more thermodynamically favorable than the conversion of transition state to substrate. the net result is increased rate of conversion of substrate to product. Now some important things you need to remember. Enzymes do not affect the free energy content of the reactants or the product. So enzyme catalysis does not affect the equilibrium of the reaction, and the energy change of the reaction remains the same for the catalyzed and the uncatalyzed reaction. And the transition state is actually a fictitious state. Let us consider the changes taking place in the enzyme during catalysis. Enzyme catalysis occurred at a particular place in the enzyme called the active site of the enzyme. Before discussing the changes in the active site, let us first deal with the active site itself. The active site of the enzyme is a small region which seems like a cleft or cavity composed of nearly 10 to 16 amino acid residues that help the enzyme to bind with the particular substrate, induce the formation of transition state, and stabilize the product formation. So it must have both binding activity and the catalytic activity as well. There are some important characteristics of the active site of an enzyme, like hydrophobicity, flexibility, reactivity, etc. The active site involves hydrophobic interaction in the attachment of a substrate with an enzyme. It increases the binding affinity as well. Hydrophobicity shields the substrate from water and generates environment whose polarity, hydrophobicity, acidity or alkalinity can differ markedly from that of the surrounding cytoplasm. Not only hydrophobicity, there are other forces like van der Waals force, hydrogen bond and electrostatic force of interaction, which also promotes the enzyme substrate complex formation. The active site is a flexible one because it can change its conformation to mediate substrate attachment and also conversion into products. This extends the Kochle's induced fit model. Not only binding or attachment, the active site of the enzyme reacts with the specific substrate. Within the active site, substrates are brought into close contact to one another in optimal alignment with the cofactors, phosphatic groups, and specific amino acid side chain responsible for actual reaction to occur. The active site mainly consists of non-polar amino acid residues which carry no charge or zero net charge. There must be a complementary pairing between the active site and the substrate. Now, what actually happens at the active site of the enzyme during catalysis? The substrate comes in contact of the enzyme and it induces conformational change of the enzyme to fit at the active site of the enzyme. This is what the proposed induced fit model of Daniel Kochler says. The four general mechanisms has been proposed. Those achieve the actual catalysis. Number one, catalysis by proximity, then acid-base catalysis, next catalysis by strain, and last but not the least, the covalent catalysis. Let us start with catalysis by proximity. It's also known as the entropy effect. Two molecules must come in close contact for the reaction to occur. Enzyme active site provides the place for the reactant to come closer in high concentration and not the least in proper alignment. Acid-base kind of catalysis involves some proton donors or acceptors in both the substrate and the enzyme. The ionizable functional group of the coenzymes, if present, and the side chains of the amino acid residues of the active site contribute to this kind of catalysis. One important example where acid-base catalysis takes place is ribonuclease kind of enzyme. There could be either specific acid catalysis and specific base catalysis, where the rate of reaction depends on the presence of only proton or hydroxyl ion in the active site. It could be general acid catalysis or general base catalysis also, where any proton donor or proton acceptor at active site can influence the enzyme activity. Now, catalysis by strain. It is seen in lytic or cleavage kind of reaction where breakage of certain covalent bonds of the substrate is involved. Here the enzyme binds to the substrate in such a conformation that it puts strain to the bond of the substrate that is going to be cleaved in subsequent steps. The strain stretches or distorts the bond involved, weakening it to become more vulnerable to cleavage. Example of this kind of catalysis is lysozyme. Finally, the covalent kind of catalysis. Here substrate forms transient covalent bonds with the enzymes and the modified enzyme becomes a reactant itself. When the reaction is over, enzyme returns to its original state, and it is frequently seen in group transfer reaction. Cysteine or serine and occasionally histidine residues of enzymes are often involved in this kind of catalysis. It is this kind of catalysis seen in serine protease like cysteine, chymotrypsin and clotting factor. Another important kind of catalysis is by metal ions. Here, the metal ions present at the active site of the enzyme, and they bring about catalysis by binding to substrate and align them properly in the reaction, by mediating oxidation reduction, and by electrostatically stabilizing or shielding the negative charges. One important example is carbonic anhydrase enzyme. Now, how we measure the enzyme activity? The measure of enzyme activity present in the solution is expressed in terms of its catalytic activity, not the number of molecules present in the sample. It could be either the unit of enzyme activity. One international unit of enzyme activity is defined as the amount of enzyme causing transformation of 1 micromole of substrate to product per minute at 25 degrees centigrade under optimal conditions. Specific activity of an enzyme refers to the number of enzyme units present per gram of a protein sample. It is a measure of enzyme purity. That means the higher the specific activity number, the more pure is the enzyme for the sample. Turnover number of an enzyme is the number of substrate molecule transformed per unit of time by a single enzyme molecule, when the enzyme concentration is the only rate limiting factor. Carbonic anhydrase has a very high turnover number, whereas fumarate has low turnover number. So that is all for today's class. Thank you.